Hello out there and welcome to another one of our College Confidential segments. I'm Jimmy Birch.
I'm Carlos Mendez.
And we're going to kick around some the hot and happening things in college football. And the hottest, most happening game probably in the whole country this week in Fort Worth, Texas. Carlos is going to be there to watch those Fighting Frogs. I'll be there. TCU-K-State, big doings. How does it shake out?
It looks like the best coach versus coach matchup in the country this week, does it not?
Oh, yeah. The two guys in the Big 12 that are, I think, both worth points on game day, and they're the only two that are.
Yeah, and plus it's a matchup of, similar styles. These teams both win the game the same way. It's defense, it's not beating yourselves, it's getting turnovers, and explosive offense. But I think that's probably where TCU has an edge here, is just in the way it can put points on the board fast. K-State's very efficient. They don't beat themselves, and they have two really excellent receivers and a good quarterback. But I think if TCU is going to win this game, they've got to count on being at home and scoring points. That's what they've done well all year.
Yeah, I think the home field advantage in this one is about the only real difference. They approach things a little differently. I mean, Kansas State's a little bit more methodical. They're not as explosive, but they're just relentlessly good, and they absolutely don't beat themselves. TCU will probably lose the turnover battle, and they'll have to overcome that, or they'll be even. But it'll be a fascinating game. I'm looking forward to it, and it'll obviously have huge repercussions next week when they refigure the college football rankings again.
Yeah, it'll help both teams. This is a quality opponent for both teams. It's going to help them. Whoever the winner is, it's going to help their resume. But we're talking college football playoff rankings, and that's your baby every week. Every Tuesday night,
absolutely.
You get to see what's happening. And
it's a great reality show.
What changed this week?
Not much. They reaffirmed that TCU and Kansas State are the two guys to beat in the Big 12. But what they really teased us for is next week. You're going to see there's 6 matchups this week of ranked teams playing one another. Including the one in Fort Worth, the one up in Norman. There's several others. The Big Ten, basically the de facto Big Ten championship game, Michigan State, Ohio State. Huge game, Notre Dame at Arizona State. And I'm going to be real interested to see how, if they win, Notre Dame at 10, Michigan State at 8, get treated by the committee next week, because neither one of those schools have a top 10 victory on the resume yet. They're the only teams in the top 10 that don't. And even if Michigan State wins, they still won't, because Ohio State's 14. I mean, we talk about play somebody. It'll just be interesting. I'll be interested to see how much the committee keeps the damper on them or opens it up as in light of a signature wins on Saturday. But signature wins have been hard to come by from our 3 highest profile programs here in the state. Texas A&M, Texas Tech. Add their records together, it's 13-14. That's really not what you have in mind when you talk about the greatness of Texas high school football and it translating to the next level. At least A&M's bowl eligible, but man, it hasn't been what you would have thought, particularly, especially with the Aggies jumping out 5-0 and backsliding. Of those 3, who's been the biggest disappointment to you?
Yeah, for me, it's the team you just mentioned, the Aggies, because they set the expectations so high for themselves, and they weren't unreasonable because of what they've done in the past. Yeah, Kevin Sumlin is that good of a coach, and Kenny, I'm about to call him Kenny Trill, but Kenny Hill
hold off on that for a couple of weeks, maybe bob it back up later.
Kenny Hill looked like that good of a quarterback.
He did, yeah.
It's hard to see a team play that well but fall so far and play so poorly against 3 other good teams, because they weren't really competitive against Mississippi State, Ole Miss, and Alabama. They just weren't competitive. I think that's where the real sense of disappointment comes for me out of that group, is how far they just fell off the table.
Yeah, I would go with Tech just because they're the one that's most on the edge of being, eliminated from the bowl picture. They've already got 6 losses. They got to play it perfect to get into the postseason. not going to happen. And I had higher expectations for them maybe than other people did. I thought Tech would be a top 25 team. They've been anything but. They've been inconsistent on defense. Texas has at least a little bit of a reason for struggling with their quarterback being knocked out in the season opener, and it's just been kind of a transition year ever since. But not a great year for any of those three, and
we got to get shut out of the award season.
Yeah, leading to that, you got and because those three aren't great, it's kind of hard to. Yeah, we're going to talk awards. I don't have anybody to say, hey, look at this. Trevon Boykin's kind of on the fringe of the Heisman race, but in terms of individual honors, man, it's usually we have several guys up for Bednarik's or Thorpe Awards. Do you see anybody?
It is kind of it seems like a dry year. You got TCU, which is playing lights out.
They are.
And maybe they can put Paul Dawson, the linebacker, up for something because he's such a playmaker. Tackles, turnovers, he's there.
He's got nice numbers.
Yeah, he's got really nice numbers, but it is surprising to see, even for a season like this where it's wide open, that nobody has emerged outside of the TCU guys and, maybe a Myles Garrett, that kind of thing.
Yeah, and, with Myles, I feel like he'll be one of the stars on the freshman All-America team, but for now he's got 11 sacks. It's a SEC record, but that's for a freshman, but that's not going to probably translate to a major individual award over some seniors. And and you look, you got if you dig really deep, Texas State has a linebacker. David Mayo leads the nation in tackles, but that's not award worthy, but it's interesting. Anybody that can make 15 tackles a game is doing something right. But in terms of doing things right, TCU or K-State, one of them are going to do something really right on Saturday, and we'll be back to talk about it next week, and we thank you for watching.